chapter 9, from verse 20 to 24, the Bible records the story of a demon-possessed boy who must have caused his father so much shame. And his father must at that point be not only worried about the child's present, but even about the child's future. He must have thought, who would employ such a person when he grows? Or who would marry such a person when he grows? Or who would even associate with such a person when he grows? A child that, convulses to the ground, throws himself to the fire. It could be in the midst of his friends talking, and all of a sudden he's having his crisis. And Jesus took him, and there was a conversation. The father looked at Jesus and said, "If you can, help us." At that point, he had to, first of all, ask if you really can. Because he must have tried several people. He must have tried several doctors, several priests, several herbalists, several magicians. He was very close to despair. And he said to Jesus, "If you can, help us." And Jesus replied him and said, "Well, what do you mean if you can? With God, all things are possible." And the man looked at Jesus and said, "Okay, I believe, but help my unbelief." In other words, I believe that with God all things are possible, but my faith is not strong enough to get this boy back to his normal state. In other words, I truly agree with you that God can do everything, but it's this same God I've prayed to all my life and nothing has happened to this boy. And he said, "Help my unbelief." Just like we have several people today, they want to come to Jesus, but the willingness to come to Jesus is not as strong as the forces that hold them backwards. The powers that convince them to stay and the temptations that hold them sway is stronger than their desire to come to Jesus. And they find themselves in this same position of the boy's father. I want to believe, but I can't. And Jesus turns to the boy, and in one stroke, he casts out the spirit. The boy was completely delivered. Now, to me, the most important lesson in this story is not that Jesus cured the boy. The most important lesson was that the efficacy and the power of the father's faith was not found in the strength of his faith, but in the strength of the object of his faith. In this context, Jesus. And so the person he was trusting in was far bigger than the strength of his faith. And so we realize that the weakest trust in Christ is enough. The smallest faith in Christ is enough. And we need to settle in our hearts like this man's father. My faith is not strong enough, but I want to come. And Jesus' response would be, if your faith be as little as a mustard seed, you will command the mountains to move. As far as God is concerned, all He wants is not a perfect faith, but a true faith. All He wants is not a perfect willingness to come, but a sincere and genuine willingness to come at all. And so this is to someone who you want to accept the life of Christ. You want to come to the Father, but that willingness is so small compared to the things that are holding you back. And all God is saying is, He who calls upon the name of the Lord, no matter how small the faith, it says he shall be saved. Call upon the name of the Lord and you will be saved.